Good morning, and thank you for joining us on Functional Friday. Sometimes you got to take a couple of deep breaths just to reconnect to what it is that you're doing. That's us this morning. Joining me this morning is Shelly Hogan, also known as the Breath Mama. And I am going to apologize right now if I cough into a mic, if I wipe my nose, or if I sneeze or do any of those kinds of things. It is because I have had this cold that I woke up with yesterday morning. So I am drinking some elderberry tea. I have some cough drops here, my water, and hopefully we're going to do some breathing this morning with Shelly Hogan. Good morning. How are you?
Good morning. Take good care of yourself too. Thanks for having me today.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Let's talk about breathing well, tell us who you are and what you do first. Let's just start there.
Who I am and what do I do? My name is
Yeah.
Shelly Hogan, and I am a breath worker. I'm a certified breathwork facilitator, and also I do rebirthing. I'm a rebirthing breath worker, and I am also a licensed massage therapist. I do a lot of body and breath work together here in St. Louis.
When we talk about breath work, aren't we breathing all the time or we would be dead?
We are. My dad has a joke. So my parents are sheriffs, and my dad's funny, and he kind of has a joke. He's like, "How do you get people to pay you to breathe?" And I'm like, "Well, it's never really that. Of course, if we're breathing, we're doing a pretty good job there. It's more or less kind of like the sometimes what I see as a massage therapist, I see like the holding patterns that we have in the body that kind of restricts the breathing, and we tend to we live in a pretty stressful society. So when we are inundated with a lot of stressful situations, it really starts to inhibit the breathing, and that is when we start to notice things like when people are having really good circulation, and you walk down a flight of stairs or walk up a flight of stairs and you're really huffing and puffing, or just sitting there. A lot of people will say, "Gosh, was I breathing?" Or when we're feeling anxious, somebody will say, "Hey, take a deep breath." And we never notice it really until it's not there or it's not functioning properly.
I always joke around about it. Anxiety is a huge conversation that we're having with people all the time. And people get overwhelmed, that anxious feeling. And really all it is it's the unconscious stopping us from breathing when we can just connect and tap back in. And it sounds so easy. Why is it so difficult sometimes?
Because we're not taught. Right? So I remember taking my first breathwork class, and and the question I had for the teacher was, why aren't we taught this in kindergarten? Why didn't somebody say, "Hey, let's do some deep breathing"? Now we're seeing it a little bit. We're seeing a little bit more mindful breathing, and even taking yoga into the classroom. So we're seeing it. We're seeing it now. It's just now we're getting it more mainstream.
Yeah, I joke around about it. And people say how, we talk about meditation practices and that kind of
Mm.
thing. And I say, I don't take 20 minutes or 30 minutes to do meditation. I just become more conscious periodically throughout the day and take 3 to 5 really strong, deep breaths to reconnect, refocus, and get grounded again. How do you compare that to meditation or the breath work that it is that you do?
Well, taking those 5 deep breaths is actually what you're doing is you're resetting the nervous system. You are saying to the body, yes, you're visually seeing that it may seem a little stressful. Something that's happening is a little stressful. Yet what you're doing is you're telling the body is, "Oh, I'm okay. I'm safe, and it's okay." And so sometimes taking those 5 minutes it is all we need, or just 5 deep breaths. My practice, I have a daily practice of breath work, and it's it's my favorite. Now I'm slightly addicted, I think, because I just don't feel well without it. And it is my spiritual practice. Actually, it's my meditation. It's my moment, and coming from a place of ignoring the self before, and not being in a place to take care of the body. Like, this is now what I've devoted my year for 2019. My word is devotion, and I've added since March perseverance. So devotion and perseverance are my words this year, because I'm finding that the more we practice, the more we become what we say we are, the more embodied we are, like that's when like true transformation is starting to happen in the whole self.
Let's talk about the specific breathing practice that you take people through, which is called rebirthing.
Yeah.
And it was fascinating when I heard about you and found you and went through a session with you, because I studied rebirthing back in the 90s, or right as the turn of 20 into the 2000s. And I like saying that the practice, what it taught me is it brought me home. It helped me remember who I came onto this planet to be. It connected me to my femininity. I remember never wearing dresses or skirts or feeling comfortable in it. And I went through this rebirthing study work for several months, and I connected to that feminine part of me. That's my memory of that. And then I found you, and I went in for a breathwork session, and I left just in awe. I really did. It was another memory and moment of, this is why I love this kind of work. So explain to us what rebirthing is and what a session might be like with you.
Well, just a nice little easy definition of, breath work is kind of like an umbrella term. There's many different types of breath work now. It all kind of originated from, these are ancient Eastern practices coming over to our young country, and creating a beautiful space here now. And so some people just created different ways to create breath work. And ideally, that rebirthing, it kind of stems around the thought that, or the theory that, our first trauma is our birth, how we came into the world. Were you wanted? Were you desired? Did your mother feed herself well? Were you taken out of the womb? Was it an emergency? That kind of situation, like how you come into the world, is essentially your first experience with Earth School. And and the idea is that it may kind of influence you throughout your life. And also, every single thing that happens to us after that influences us. Everything that we do influences us. Basic psychology 101 is that everything our parents ever teach us, and all of their thoughts and beliefs, we believe at age 7. And then the society and our culture will have us, completely conditioned by the time we're 15. And so it's kind of what breath work, I think that it does, is that it kind of gives us that space we're going to learn how to reconnect with the breath, right? We're going to connect the body and the mind back together, which essentially will connect us in the spiritual realm. No religion needed. That's our innate sense, that deeper self-awareness with us. It's all about breath regulation, breath awareness, and breath control.
Can you do this by yourself, or do you need a coach to take you through this?
Wonderful question. So you can do pranayama exercises all by yourself. You can get a YouTube video, you can watch, you can learn some nice short breathing exercises. The reason I tell everybody that a coach is really good in the beginning is because we have great potential to deceive ourselves. And we think we're doing something and we're not. I wonder if my husband would be okay if I told a story. Yes.
I like the way you answered for him. His angels and his saints just dropped in and said, yes, he's fine with it.
I told him I'm going to be a great comedian one day because he gives me a lot of material. And there was this moment where I was doing breathwork sessions with my husband, and he fell asleep a lot. And he didn't realize it. And so finally, I took a video of him and I showed it to him, and the look on his face, like he was so surprised because he was like, "Wait a minute. When you said, Clint, stay breathing. Clint, stay breathing." He's like, "That felt like there was 10 minutes and it was seconds." Right? So it wasn't just a little, I was just talking to him, and that, breath work does have that sense of kind of an altered state of awareness, right? So your breath has that gift of giving that to you into going into a different kind of state of awareness in order to, you're going to relax the mind enough so that the body will let go of what it's holding on to. I feel like the body is a map, and it has everything that we've ever experienced, and everything that we've ever done is held within the body. And when we can give the brain enough time to relax enough, the body will let go.
I love the twist that you're taking on your practice, because you've also been studying Samaveda Thai yoga,
Yes.
and you're including, or you're combining that body movement with the breath, which I feel is an amazing combination, because as the body moves and along with that breath work, we're moving the energy out quicker, faster, releasing things. Am I correct in saying that, or is that just me?
It is very much correct. We have a lot of habits. We're kind of made of habits and patterns. We go about doing daily things, and sometimes people, and I even when I speak to people, I'm speaking to myself too. I We don't realize, like, sometimes how we sit, or sometimes how we're moving. What I've noticed a lot, especially in body work, is that sometimes people don't even realize like they have holding patterns. A lot of people, because they're doing a lot of desk jobs, they're turtlenecking, right? So the goal is to get the body, to relax enough, and to start creating awareness here, because whenever we start to get more stressed, the more stress we get, the more we tuck, the more we go back into those really familiar positions. And so what I'm noticing with the body work, which I love so much, is that we're already addressing those holding patterns in the body before we start breathing. Because the first 20 minutes of breath work can be quite intimidating. It's almost like, what I tell people is that we're going to stick our body into a light socket, and we're going to create a lot of energy. So, not to go too quantum here, but it's almost like we're going to create a space where the electrons are going to spin faster. So we're creating electricity, and we're going to lighten the body up. Well, to lighten the body up, it's got to go through those sticky places in our body, and those could be, just holding patterns, or even the way our spine sits, or just the way that we sit and move. And so we got to get the breath into those spaces. So when I already start the body work on and with people, those spaces are already open, and they're kind of already ready to. And now I'm just like, okay, and I already start the breathing process in the body work, and so then will take off. It's like their motors are already started, so they'll take off, and they'll breathe. They breathe much easier.
It's fascinating how we can go so deep into something that comes so natural to us, but we're oftentimes so disconnected from it. A question I have, because I know you've been studying and practicing this, the Wim Hof method. You have this fascination with the cold, and if you're watching this and and you're not familiar with the Wim Hof method, I'll add a link in here later on today to make sure that you kind of get an idea. But it's really about being able to shift into a uncomfortable situation and consciously make it comfortable for yourself. You've been doing this for a while now. Can you explain a little bit more about what that is?
So I do tell people that we have to learn to be comfortable in the uncomfortableness. And something I deep down think that breath work is really doing is it's strengthening the vagus. You know, when we find ourselves really over excited and over anxious or really depressed, you know, that's the vagus nerve that we're toning it, right? So I just found Wim Hof. That was actually, I like that I intuitively thought to go and jump in a cold lake before I met Wim Hof on the internet. And I started cryotherapy last year. So it is a way, you know, we're creating resilience. So when we are stressed, we usually tend to go into those unconscious programs of, oh, I'm really stressed, I have to do it this way. Like for example, I used to drink. I used to drink a lot to cope, right? And you know, I was a patient care tech in the hospital for 10 years, and I didn't understand like what stress was. I just knew the feeling in the body. And it wasn't until the feeling in the body started to go away that I realized like the severity of it. So when you wake up in the morning and you're just not heavy and you're not depressed, and then you're like waking up like, oh, I feel good. I got space. I feel happy. Well, what's that? And so I've been doing a breathwork session every day. So today I did my breathwork session. I'm on day 562. And it's almost that I believe, you know, I believe I'm a scientist at heart. And I feel like I'm just attempting to see what it does. What does going into an altered state of reality without drugs, what does it do for the mind? What does it do for the body? What's it doing for the spirit? And I'm going to say yes. You know, yes, the answer is yes to anything. It becomes a new way. You know, the concerns that come and safe in your body is one of the biggest things. All levels of trauma come through the door. Some people may not even start with breath work. We may start with body work and just having little of breathing, because these are feelings and sensations that we repress, right? So I tell people that everything that we have in our body is in this jar. And during a session, we're not going to take the lid off and throw the jar out. We're going to just turn the lid a little bit, just a little bit, because I implicitly trust the breath. I trust that the breath is going to go into the spaces that it needs to go to. And if we can let just a little bit in, maybe that's all we need at the time.
You're starting to cut out just a little bit, and I don't want to lose you before I ask some of the most important questions, because this is when I go into just Becky asks random questions time. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay, so tell me one of the craziest, wildest experiences you've had, whether it be traveling or something that is one of the most memorable memories for you. And it can't be the birth of your children, because that's like such a norm thing.
Oh gosh, not for me. You know, now when I know about rebirthing, I'm like, I actually apologize to my children. I said, I'm sorry, you do for me. God, stop asking that. Oh my gosh, you know, I have a plethora of crazy experiences of work.
Oops. Okay, I was hoping we would get to some of those questions, and it looks like the internet just was not on our side all the way. That's okay. I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. I'll have Shelly make sure that she puts all of her contact information so that you can see how to reach out to her as well. I am oh, there you are, Shelly.
Sure, what happened?
I don't know either. I don't know if it was the internet or something, but we've got you back on for a few more minutes at least.
Yeah.
So can you identify one thing that is memorable to you? If it's too
Yes,
difficult of a
yes.
question,
No,
yes.
you know, you think about my life. I've given over 15,000 people a bath. And
Uh-huh.
when I started in that hospital, like I hated it. I hated cleaning people. I hated giving baths. And it was like I kept going every day. I kept going and going and going. And then one day I loved it. Right. So I loved going. I could feel what I was bringing. And I you learn a little bit of assertive compassion in that kind of situation and scenario. But I'm going to say my favorite thing is going to the training, my rebirthing training in Virginia with Leonard Orr. It was we had to do a lot of fire, a lot of spiritual purification, and it was the first time where I got to hear what my frequency sounded like, what my vibration sounded like, because we did a lot of fasting. We sat in silence a lot, and we sat with the fire for a long time. And it was the first time I just got to hear myself think and be, and just like it was almost like your cells. You could hear your cells and hear your bones talking to you.
Okay. What is your very favorite flower? If somebody were to give you a flower, what's the flower
Oh,
that?
I do have flowers. I love flowers. You know, I love roses.
Roses? Any specific color?
Hmm. All of them. And I love white.
Okay. If you go to the zoo, what's the very first animal that you want to go see?
The monkeys.
The monkeys. Any?
I do. I love the
Okay.
monkeys.
Shelly, I want to thank you for joining me this morning. Is there anything else, any trainings or any events coming up that you want to make sure anybody knows about?
There are events and fun things happening for sure that are cooking and steaming. So if anybody
Okay.
has any, you know, just go to breathmama.com. It'll be there. You could like Breath Mama on Facebook. I am very active and posting and very open for communication and collaboration with people. So
And will you be at the May 10th event?
I will. Yes, I
Yay.
will. I did buy my
So,
ticket.
so good. So Shelly will be joining us, myself and Lisa Jenkins, on the May 10th event. If you are not aware of that event, I'll make sure that I add that link in there. Shelly, make sure that you also add the link to your website or any other ways people can connect with you as
I
well to make
will.
that as easy as possible. I look forward, if you do not know about the May 10th event, it is a women's only event. We're going to be doing that up at the co-workshop at Chesterfield Mall. Super thrilled and excited to do this. We're creating it and designing it, and I can promise you this will be like no other experience you've ever experienced before. A group of about 150 women coming together to really uplift and empower each other will be quite exciting in itself. So Shelly, thank you again for joining me. My name is Becky Schoenig. I am one of the co-owners of Symbol. Symbol is a healthy lifestyle focused restaurant in Kirkwood and in Chesterfield, Missouri. We focus on food as medicine. Just like breathing is a part of your life source, healthy food is a part of your life source as well. So you can find us at those two locations, or you can go to innerflavor.com, where we ship our sauces and dressings all over the US. So we will talk to you soon. Thank you.
Thank you very much.